Here we are, another edition of What Barrie's Talking About from Barrie 360. I'm Dan Blakeley. On this week's program, that 35% tariff the U.S. recently slapped on Canadian goods not covered by the current Canada-U.S Mexico trade agreement has a lot of people up in arms, has many hollering for retaliatory tariffs, but they may not be necessary just yet. We'll tell you why. Another summer hockey charity game has been born, this one in Muskoka, with the help of former Maple Leaf Chris King. We'll get the details. And the rush to buy school supplies has begun, but what did you do with the stuff from last year? Do you still have it? Did it get thrown out? What if there was a recycling program for last year's school gear? There is. Stay tuned. We get the conversation started after this. The trade war with the U.S. ramped up some more with the 35% tariff President Trump heaped on Canadian imports that are not covered by the current Canada-U.S Mexico trade agreement. It resulted in a huge outcry from business people in the opposition for immediate action from our government, which did not, has not, and may not be coming anytime soon, which comes as no surprise to tariff expert Kyle Peacock, who runs Peacock Tariff Consultants in Orillia, who says this tariff affects a small percentage of Canadian businesses. Barrie 360's Ian MacLennan rang him up, wanting to know more.
So, Kyle, Donald Trump has gone through with his, threat from 25 to 35% tariffs. But according to reports we've received from the Canadian press and other outlets, that the vast majority of materials and stuff that goes to the States is tariff-free anyway. So, who should worry? What industries?
Unfortunately, it's going to be the small, medium-sized companies that haven't completed their tariff exemptions, and those are the companies that will be suffering short term. Unfortunately, there's a lot of southwestern Ontario manufacturing, as well as industries such as steel and a little bit backed off, but copper industries as well. So it really affects southwestern Ontario the most. It has a major effect in this area from the Simcoe County area in regards to the small manufacturers that ship periodically across the border that would not have shipped or prepared their exemption status.
And that's part of, I don't have the name offhand, but it's by the Canada-Mexico-U.S deal if they did not jump on board with that opportunity?
Correct. So to be part of the free trade agreement, CUSMA with the Mexican and U.S. governments, there was certain items that had to be put through there and be approved. And that's where we're seeing where items either that are new or that weren't put through at the time that are seeing the tariffs. So we're talking it's about 8% of the overall exports to the U.S. So what we're hearing is correct. It will offset and hurt southern Ontario a little bit more than other regions, obviously, but I think that's obviously a very small win in our sense, where it was worth 40% of our total exports to the U.S. It was worth not signing a bad deal, but getting the right deal for Canadians.
Because the Premier's talked about throwing back 50% tariffs on aluminum and steel at the U.S. When you talk of, it's not a lot that's going to be nailed here. So should the alarm bells be ringing as loud as they should? I know the Premier's looking out for the province and obviously people who are affected, but is it wrong to say it's not as bad as it was made out to be, or?
It's the future-facing that is the concern. The free trade agreement is up in, I believe, 14 months. And if this is the status quo and this is the new normal of the 35%, that is a concern. If, when that expires, if it's not renewed. Currently, it's an ugly first step, but it's not as detrimental to the economy as we're making it out to be, but it is if all parties do not renegotiate that agreement.
Do you think that's what Carney is doing, is looking long-term? He doesn't want to rock the boat too much, knowing that there are some hard negotiations down the road?
I think he's looking at the long term and not the short term. He's looking at Canada as a whole, 2027, 2029. It's how do we make ourselves stronger and more diverse than we do currently. That's 35% instead of 15%. That's obviously a loss. But if we're looking at the big picture or the scoreboard, that's just a goal against. It's not the final score. It's okay. That's unfortunate. We're going to continue to hold out, show our resolve, and work towards a better agreement in the long term. Because the free trade agreement, it will give us a significant amount of competitive advantage over the short term as well. So for the next 15 months, we do have a free trade agreement with the U.S., which no other countries in the world currently have because of the tariffs.
So if the U.S. president is chirping like he might that this is a win for him and for America, do we have to take that here in Canada as a grain of salt and not feel offended that we've lost something?
Correct. So we have lost that items that did not have a tariff, the 35% tariff on a small percentage of our exports to the U.S., and unfortunately will affect the small to medium-sized enterprises that were not tax tariff exempt at the CUSMA agreements. But this is going to be tough to have this rubbed in our face that we've lost and there's this large tariff amount, when really, when you step back, it's not as big a number as we see.
I think the head of Unifor said, paraphrasing, this is the fight of our lives. Is that an exaggeration, or are they, saying that because they do have auto workers that are impacted or will be?
There is a significant amount of auto workers that are impacted, and I think when we're stating about the fight of our lives, it's completely correct. But I don't think this fight is over as of August 1st. It is long-term for Canadian manufacturing, Canadian relationships with the U.S., Canadian exporting. It is in regards to the free trade agreement, old NAFTA, CUSMA. That is the lifeline. So the fight continues, and that is going to be where the real fight is there's going to be pain in certain sectors currently, and automotive is one. I know that affects Simcoe County, obviously, with some of our manufacturing is very automotive component heavy, but we will see that this is really just geared up to the end agreement. We are doing a lot of things. Canada is doing a lot of things well with the Mexico government currently, looking at a free trade agreement no matter what, even with or without the U.S., but the U.S. is the biggest part. Being in the middle with that needs to happen. So with that being said, they know that Trump would have won this battle, but the war is really the free trade agreement with the U.S. So as much as we can't lose sight that this is a fight, and we haven't lost. We've lost this battle. Unfortunately, there's going to be some people that are very much affected by it, and I hope that we take the proper means provincially and federally to offset those individuals and those companies that are affected, because 35% margin makes a lot of companies unprofitable or uncompetitive in the U.S. market. Anytime that you're adding 35% to your price, then it very much takes you out of the competitive marketplace. So we understand that. I hope that the government looks after those industries, and that's identified. Hopefully we can use some of the tariffs that we have put on the U.S. on the incoming to utilize that to offset some of those businesses, but as well, the fight for our lives is the free trade agreement.
And then
that agreement is going to be where we have to ensure everything's on the table, and I think by not accepting the 35% or agreeing to a deal that is between 15 and 35%, that almost sets the stage that we're willing to accept it, whereas now it's still wide open, and as much as he's dictated the 35% to us, we haven't ensured that we haven't agreed to anything other than a free trade agreement. So I think it's
should, I guess quickly, if I could, Kyle, just do you think retaliating is the next step, or should Carney stand pat and just continue to talk?
I think that is a two-pronged attack. I think staying calm and talking is the most important. I think with the amount of tariffs that we are seeing worldwide with the U.S., it is going to be an upheaval in the third and fourth quarters like we've never seen. And I think biding our time is very important. And I think you'll see, because of the Mexico delayed agreement as well, that it's the proper course, because if there is significant upheaval and U.S. businesses require X, we will be able to satisfy that and be the ally that we were and have that go towards the agreement. I believe that there's strategic at play, knowing the individuals, and I'm confident that they have the right attitude for Canada in the future. Suite, everything from distribution channels as well as forward-looking of ideally where you would want to source and what we anticipate issues being.
And finally, the uncertainty for small and medium businesses, but even for you when you're trying to do your job and navigate for these companies, to try to crystal ball gaze Donald Trump seems impossible. How challenging is it for you in your role and for these businesses?
What we're giving to our clients currently is this relationship with Donald Trump, agreement signed or not. I believe that you're going to see a very uncertain 4 years of transportation, geopolitical issues with our neighbors to the south, and a lot of our clients are looking to source elsewhere, either source elsewhere or have our clients elsewhere. So we have seen a significant amount of our clients targeting Europe. Obviously, there's transportation costs, but they're willing to take the hit on the transportation to ensure that they have the stable market. The uncertainty of the market in the U.S. is creating a lot of concerns for a lot of the small to medium-sized businesses, and the one way to react to that is to find a stable market that will be purchasing your products.
You're in the brushes, so to speak, with what's going on with small, medium businesses and obviously those that operate them. But what for the average Canadian can we take away when, we've heard tariffs before, but we really didn't, maybe some of us didn't pay attention, intertrade barriers. What have Canadians, you think, learned from this experience that, goes on day to day?
From my standpoint, I think it's a very good learning for Canadians to understand that just how reliant we all are on global supply chains. And with that, realizing if emergencies happen, what is actually domestically produced that we're able to satisfy. And I think that's what we're seeing, where there's a lot of clients that are saying, we would like to approach a market that doesn't have a domestic supplier. We would like to be in this business because there is appetite for a domestic supplier.
This is what Barrie's talking about from Barrie 360. I'm Dan Blakeley, in the middle of charity hockey season in this part of the world, and many parts of the world probably, but here's a new one for you, Hockey Night in Muskoka. The guy heading up this is Joe Rockburn. Welcome to the program.
Thank you for having me.
And lending an assist, you see what I did there?
I like that.
Hey, is Chris King, former Toronto Maple Leaf, among others. Welcome.
And thanks for having us, and appreciate you helping us out, get the word out.
Great to have you here. So, you were telling me, Joe, before we came in here, that this has been a long time dream, and it's finally coming to fruition.
Yeah, we've been discussing Hockey Night in Muskoka for a few years right now. Bracebridge has a new beautiful facility, the Muskoka Lumber Community Center. It's become the preeminent place for NHLers to train with Muskoka hockey. We thought bringing the NHL experience along with the Bracebridge community to raise some money for United Way, Simcoe Muskoka, the South Muskoka Hospital Foundation, and of course met up with Chris a little while ago and had a discussion about the event, and he immediately jumped on, and I mean, he might be the most popular person in Bracebridge, so it was integral that we got his blessing for the event.
Can't walk down the street, can you?
Well, you've got to remember, the Santa's Village is there, so I might be behind the old fella there with the beard. But
well, certain times of year.
Exactly.
Maybe. Yeah. Your involvement, Chris, you jumped on this, which was probably a no-brainer, being from that region.
Yep. Well, Bracebridge, just outside of Bracebridge, Matthiasville's our summer home now. I grew up in Gravenhurst, just down the road, and as Joe said, we have a brand new, beautiful facility there that the town's very proud of. I ran a hockey school in Muskoka for 30 years with my dad in Gravenhurst, and we used to have our skates there when I was playing, and we'd have the likes of Eric Lindros and Wendell Clark and Paul Coffey and some of the older guys, and I stress older, used to come and skate with us instead of having to drive down here to Barrie or Toronto to get on the ice during the summertime. And you walk into that Bracebridge Arena at 10:30 in the mornings and probably giving up the goods here to those guys because they just like to skate. But there's anywhere from 12 to 18 current NHL players skating there, getting ready for their season. So it just seemed natural fit. Listen, the hospital is used by all of us. United Way is such a great charity that this just made a lot of sense. And we're tapping into the local guys, some of the alumni guys, and the current guys to just give the people in Bracebridge and Gravenhurst and Muskoka a nice look at NHL hockey.
All right, let's talk about some of the players that you do have signed up already.
Yeah, I mean, obviously the two teams will be led by Captain Chris King and Captain Wendell Clark. We're excited. Wendell as well got on board to support the event. Evan Bouchard of the Oilers, current invitee to the Olympic team. Dylan Cousins. We're pumped to announce the Memorial Cup champion Sam Dickinson will be there. Second overall pick in this year's NHL draft, Michael Meeson, his brother Luke. Cody Hodgson will be joining us for the event on Thursday the 14th. So the list continues to go on. I'd be remiss if I didn't mention Jackson's event and their work in helping us get the players. Brady Leavold becoming a bit of a superstar in the area through his hockey development work and his work with mental health, which we were pumped to get him involved. So as Chris had mentioned, the list continues to grow, but we're super excited by the roster already.
Generated a lot of excitement in the community already?
Well, that was the idea, and today's kids look up to the NHL players as I did when I was younger, and as some did when we were playing. So having them right in their backyards and sharing the lakes with them in the summertime is different than being able to go to the arena and sit and watch them play in the summertime and just see how good these players really are. I mean, I've been retired since 2001, and I watched these guys last week, and I'm amazed at how good they are and how fast they are. And working in the NHL as I currently do, it's a great job because you get to watch the best players play the best game, and we're hoping to share that with the people of Muskoka here on August 14th.
And it's not just an ice hockey game. There's a ball hockey game for youth.
Yeah, we created a youth ball hockey experience, 5 p.m. We have some local youth fundraisers that are just killing it out there. And we shared a story this morning about young Emerson, a lemonade stand. He raised $150 this weekend for Hockey Night in Muskoka. Jax Coltman started off early. I think he's raised $2,000 for the event. So we're super excited to show them a great day, involve them and encourage them and thank them for their work because the youth have been incredible.
You got a little bit of a competition going for these guys? Yeah.
We're giving the top 10 fundraisers a special look at the event. So we'll have them in the dressing room, in the reception areas. We'll announce them pregame. So we're really looking to celebrate them and get them involved in the experience.
All right. When, where, and what's it going to take to get somebody into the game?
Well, it's Thursday, August 14th. The youth ball hockey experience starts at 5 p.m. The NHL charity game will start at 7 p.m. You can go to hockeynightmuskoka.ca or the acronym HNIM.ca. Get your tickets. There's still sponsorship opportunities available. The two teams sponsored by McDonald's and Boston Pizza have been incredibly generous to supporting the event, along with Hammond Bus, P. Medley. We also have Miller Health and Sergeant's Fuel are some of our main sponsors that are just making this event what it will be.
And perhaps a certain moving company?
Rockburn Brothers Movers and Storage has supported my $10,000 commitment to the event to play in the game. So,
and we're still looking for some teammates for Joe. So we've got some guys out there working really hard to get their $10,000 sponsorship so they can play alongside these NHL players and be part of the night and show off their skills or lack thereof in Joe's case. So,
and I'm sure you see a lot of the alumni all the time, but this is kind of like a reunion for you and Wendell, but on a competitive edge.
Well, it was funny, and I tell a story every once in a while. My mom obviously grew up around hockey with her son playing at all levels, and she used to say that I was her second favorite player behind Wendell Clark. And one time we were playing in Winnipeg, and Mom and Dad were out for a visit, and we lined up at the face-off, and Wendell and I had kind of squared off about 3 weeks earlier in Maple Leaf Gardens, and he looked at me and he says, "Are we going again?" And I said, "Actually, no, my hand's a little bit sore. And secondly, my mom's in town and she told me I'm not allowed to fight you this game." And he says, "Well, bring her down after the game and I'd love to say hello to her." So that's when my mom got to meet her favorite player, and her second favorite player took her to meet her favorite player. So Clarky and I have been friends for a long time. It was great when we played together in Toronto, and he's just one of the best, and his son was coming to my hockey school. Wendell would show up with a coffee, and my buddies would be all over him on Monday, and on Wednesday he'd be bringing in the coffee for all them. By Friday, the guys just said, "I've heard that one already, Wendell. I'm busy." So he's just down-to-earth guy, and he certainly helps out in charities all over what he does. So it's going to be great. We've got Mike Johnson, who I played with in Toronto, Nick Antropoff, another ex-Leaf, Cody Hodgson. We've got a nice few alumni that are certainly stepping up to help us out as well. So some of the younger people will get to see some of the guys that they watched when they were younger as well. So
you were part of some pretty good Leaf teams back then. How does that team compare to what we have now, do you think?
Well, I would kind of lead us to believe we were a little bit tougher, maybe a lot bit slower, but I just think the way these guys train today, and to tell you the truth, I mean, they're machines. They eat right, they train right, they skate all the time. If they take more than a week off, I think they feel guilty once their season ends. I was curling paint cans on a broken hockey stick with a skate lace, and these guys have trainers that are showing them the right way to do things. So the game's evolved so much, and the players have certainly taken advantage of that. But you talk to my buddies, they love the 80s and 90s game, and you talk to the younger guys that watch the McDavids, Dreisaitl's, still the Crosbys and Kachucks. They love today's game, which I do as well. I think hockey has obviously changed, but the love of it, I don't think has changed for anybody.
No, and you have a particular love for it because you're immersed in it. You're very busy now with the NHL getting some new things lined up.
It's true. When you retire at 35, you're not too sure what you're going to do. I followed my wife around like a puppy around the house for about 4 weeks, and I drove her crazy. So she found me another job with hockey operations, and I went to work for Colin Campbell in hockey operations in the fall of 2001, and here it is 25 years later, and it's been a fantastic job. I love it, involved in all aspects of the game. Generally, when the referees get on the headset and they're looking at an iPad, 9 out of 10 times they're talking to me. So I'm the one who deciding whether the goals count or don't count, and people kind of think that's funny because I didn't score too many, and they wonder what I do know about it. But it's been a fantastic way to extend my career and enjoy this great game, and part of it again is just using that time that you played to do good in your community. And Muskoka is my home, and this is just another step in that direction. This is our first year, but it certainly won't be our last.
Thursday, August 14th. Where again?
The Muskoka Lumber Community Center, Bracebridge, Ontario, 56 Salmon Avenue.
And where do people go to get their tickets?
HockeyNightMuskoka.ca or HNIM.ca. Or you can give me a call at 705-623-6850.
Your phone's going to be ringing off the hook, my friend.
Look forward to it.
Thanks for coming in. Thanks for doing this. We'll look forward to having you back next year to talk about it again.
Perfect.
Thanks for your help.
Notebooks, pencils, pens, rulers, knapsacks. The rush has begun to get the kids outfitted for the new school year, but what became of all those supplies at the end of last year? Did you keep them? Did you throw them out? Is there a better option? Apparently there is. Randy Goodman is with TerraCycle, an international leader in innovative sustainability solutions. She outlines their Zero Waste Box program for you and Barrie 360's Julius Hearn.
So August is upon us, less than a month away, or almost a month away now from kids heading back to school. But it seems like now that kids have finished school, they don't really know what to do a lot with their school supplies. And I think that's kind of the focus that we're going on today. You're from TerraCycle. Tell me a bit about what TerraCycle does.
Sure. So for TerraCycle, we are an international global leader in recycling. So what we do is we provide recycling solutions for items that traditionally cannot be recycled through curbside or municipal recycling programs. So those can be items ranging from single-serve coffee pods to pens, pencils, and markers, and even things like disposable gloves and masks. So we partner with a lot of brands and also corporate companies to create recycling programs where we collect these items and turn them into new usable raw materials. And then we also provide mail-back recycling solutions for consumers and businesses to use at home to collect and recycle many of these items as well.
So no TerraCycle, the zero waste box is the product that you guys think is really going to be the solution to this. So tell me a little bit about what the zero waste box can do for people in situations where they need to find some avenues to recycle their waste.
Absolutely. So with zero waste boxes, we offer 3 sizes. So it really gives the consumer flexibility to recycle different items based on how much they have available. And so the way that it works is that they'll visit our website and they can browse the many zero waste boxes that we have available and choose which box works for them based on what they're looking to recycle. So we have boxes that are very specific to one type of item, like pens, pencils, and markers, or broader boxes where you can collect anything in your office, which would be like our office separation box. And so the way that it works is that each box has a sticker affixed to the front of it that just lets the consumer know exactly what can and can't be collected inside. And every box comes with a prepaid UPS shipping label affixed to the side of it. So when they place their order, we'll ship the box directly to their home or office. And once the box is full, all they need to do is take that box to UPS to ship it back to us. And then when we receive the box, we'll sort and recycle everything that is inside.
Sounds like a really streamlined solution. Where did the whole inspiration for the zero waste box come from?
So the inspiration for the zero waste box really came from back in the early days of TerraCycle. We had a number of recycling programs sponsored by a lot of our brand partners. Those programs are designed to collect specific items that the brand produced. So think of like your aluminized drink pouches. And we were getting questions over the years from customers saying, we love your programs, but I wish I could recycle this item with you. And, what our CEO, Tom Zaki, said was like, we technically can recycle all of these things. It's just that we don't have a brand sponsor to pay for it. But if the consumer is willing to pay for it, we can absolutely create a solution for them to be able to recycle those items. So that's really where it came from. It came from our consumers and our loyal participants.
Yeah, I see here, studies show the average student generates about 67 pounds of school-related waste each year. That's a lot. And also their release says additional research suggesting 77% of school supplies purchased annually are wasted. So does this maybe work better in a classroom setting itself or maybe at home?
It can actually work for both. So we have customers who purchase our boxes to use at home, like in their home office, or even, if they're doing homeschooling. But we also have teachers and school districts who will purchase our boxes for use in the classroom setting as well. So it really works for both environments, and that's what's really nice about our program is that it's flexible. The box can be used anywhere.
What have you noticed to be the school supplies that get thrown out the most, especially among those that can be used continuously?
A lot of it, aside from your standard like pens, pencils, and markers, it's probably scissors, whether they're just like covered in paint and glue and whatever the case may be. A lot of scissors, a lot of glue sticks that still, have a little bit of product or glue left in them is also something that we see a lot of.
So of the 4 different options, plastic packaging, the bedroom separation, pens, pencils, markers, office supplies, for a student, whether you're elementary school age, secondary school age, or even post-secondary, what might be the best option of those 4?
I would definitely probably say plastic packaging would be a good place to start. You know, a lot of students are sent to school with items that come in plastic or are plastic. So that would probably be a really good place to start. And then followed by, you know, like I said, our office separation or our school supplies box, because those are items that are continuously used in the classroom as well.
What are some of the strategies that folks can use to reduce clutter and waste during the academic year, as opposed to kind of waiting till the end of June ahead of the summertime to kind of get everything all sorted out?
Yeah, I'd say just be mindful of, you know, what they're using, and, you know, trying to use the product as much as possible. And then I think any product, any item where there's a reusable option as well. You know, our CEO really likes to use refillable pens instead of buying single-use disposable pens. So I think it's really just a matter of, you know, shifting the mindset and, you know, looking for alternative options where there are reusable or refillable options available.
So I know this, you guys sort at your facilities there. Where do the fillings from the boxes go? How is everything disposed out of home or classroom?
Yeah, so once the box arrives at our facility, we go through and we sort all of the contents in the box based on like material composition, so plastics, metals, and then we have a network of partners that we use to further recycle the items based on the material type. So things like plastics get shredded and turned into new plastic items, whether it's you know, picnic tables, park benches, and paving stones. And then things like metal get turned into new metal products. So we have a pretty robust supply chain and network of partners that we work with to ensure that everything gets recycled and transformed into new products.
So I know TerraCycle is based in the U.S. out of Trenton, New Jersey. What's the footprint like in Canada?
So in Canada, we're based in Ontario. And we have a facility in Quebec, and we've got a few hundred schools as well as government agencies within Canada participating in both our free or national recycling programs, as well as using our zero waste boxes.
So you mentioned there is going to be a cost to consumers. What's the cost going to be like, maybe even across those 4 different options?
So it does vary, and the price could be anywhere as low as $70 for like our smallest box, up to $300 for our largest box, which also would accept, you know, a mixture of items. So I definitely encourage customers to, you know, visit our website. We even have like a pouch option as well for much smaller items like just pens, pencils, and markers. And so if they go to our website and just type in, you know, what item they're looking to recycle, we'll be able to see various options. And they can also filter by budget or price of the product as well, so that they can find a solution that meets their needs.
Well, Randy, I really appreciate your time with us today. One more time before we go, just kind of give some folks a brief rundown on the Zero Waste Box and how they can find it.
So our Zero Waste Box is a turnkey mailback recycling solution that allows consumers and households to recycle really any item that's not collected through curbside or municipal recycling programs today. And if they're looking to learn more about the Zero Waste Box or learn more about TerraCycle, they can visit www.terracycle.com.
Randy Goodman from TerraCycle, thank you so much for your time. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.
And that's our program for this week. Thanks to Ian and Julius for their input, to Matt Latter for his technical touch, and to you for listening. If you like what you've heard, please subscribe to What Barrie's Talking About, rate it, review it. You can also keep up with What Barrie's Talking About on Blue Sky and X at Barrie360, on our website, Barrie360.com, and there's our daily Kickstart podcast available from any streaming service and on our website. I'm Dan Blakeley. Hope you'll join us again next week.